The rain fell heavily as six black SUVs raced through the empty streets of Seoul. Inside the first car, Kim Tae-young sat silently. His eyes never left the photograph of Han Min-joo. 3 years of searching. Tonight, it would finally end. Boss Jinwoo said, "Our men have surrounded the warehouse." Taeyong nodded. "No one shoots unless I give the order. Understood?" At the Kim mansion, Seo-yeon could not sleep. For some reason, her heart felt uneasy. She walked into the hallway and saw bodyguards running outside. Miss Chui hurried past her. "Miss Chui, what's happening?" The old woman hesitated. The boss found someone. Seo-yeon's face turned pale. "My brother?" Miss Chui slowly nodded. Seo-yeon's heart began to race. Without thinking, she ran outside. "Madam," the guards shouted. But she had already climbed into a car. I know I know where they are going. Take me there." The driver looked uncertain. "I can't. This is an order." After a moment, he started the engine. An hour later, the warehouse stood in complete silence. Rain poured through the broken roof. Taeyong slowly walked inside. His footsteps his footsteps echoed through the darkness. "Han Minju?" A man stepped out from the shadows. He looked older, tired. His face was covered with bruises. "So, you finally found me." Taeyong's eyes burned with anger. "You should have stayed hidden." Han Minju gave a bitter smile. "I was tired of running." Taeyong pointed his gun directly at him. "Do you know how many nights my sister cried because of you?" Minju lowered his head. "I know." "You know?" Taeyong's voice echoed through the warehouse. "You ruined her life. You ruined my family. You made me destroy an innocent woman's life." "I know." Minju shouted back, "and I have hated myself every single day." Before Taeyong could speak again, the warehouse doors suddenly opened. "Stop!" Everyone turned. Sion stood there, breathing heavily. Rain had soaked her clothes. She looked from Taehyung to her brother. Tears filled her eyes. "Oppa?" For the first time in 3 years, brother and sister stood face to face. Minju slowly walked toward her. "Sion?" She stepped back. "No, you don't get to smile at me. You left us. You left Grandma." Trembled. "Do you know how many nights Grandma waited by the window? Do you know how many jobs I worked just to pay your debts?" Minju could not meet her eyes. "I am sorry." "No." She shook her head. "Sorry is not enough. You destroyed two families." Silence filled the warehouse. Even Taeyong lowered his gun slightly. He had expected Soyeon to protect her brother. Instead, she stood against him. Minju closed his eyes. "I never wanted any of this." "Then tell us the truth," Soyeon whispered. He took a deep breath. "I loved Jeon." Taeyong frowned. "What game are you playing?" "I'm telling the truth. I loved her." "Then why did you leave?" Minju looked directly at Taeyong. "Because someone wanted your family's confidential files. They kidnapped Soyeon. They threatened to kill her. They said if I did not steal the files, my little sister would die." Soyeon's eyes widened. "What?" "I thought if I stole the files and disappeared, they would leave you alone." Tears rolled down his face. "But they lied. They kept chasing all of us." The warehouse fell silent. Jinwoo looked shocked. "Boss, we never found this in our investigation." Taeyong stared at Minju. "If that's true, who was behind it?" Before Minju could answer, a gunshot echoed. Bang! A bullet stuck. Minju in the chest. Soyeon screamed, Oppa! Everyone turned toward the upper floor. Several masked gunmen appeared. One of them laughed. No one leaves alive. Bullets rained down across the warehouse. Taehyung grabbed Sion and pulled her behind a concrete pillar. Stay down. The warehouse exploded into chaos as Sion cried beside her injured brother. Taehyung drew his gun. His eyes became colder than even before. They touched my wife. His voice was low, deadly. They have just declared a war. Gunfire echoed through the abandoned warehouse. Bang, bang, bang. Taeyong stood in front of Sion, shielding her with his body. Don't move, he ordered. Sion nodded, her hands shaking. A few meters away, Han Min-ju lay on the cold floor, struggling to breathe. Blood spread beneath him. Boss, Jinwoo shouted. There are too many of them. Taeyong calmly reloaded his gun. Push them back. Yes, boss. His men rushed forward, exchanging fire with the masked attackers. The warehouse filled with smoke and dust. One of the gunmen quietly slipped behind the broken walls. His eyes looked onto Soyeon. He raised his pistol. Taeyong noticed the movement at the last second. Sion! He pulled her toward him. Bang! The bullet missed her by inches and shattered a concrete pillar. Without hesitation, Taeyong fired back. The gunman fell to the ground. Sion stared at him in shock. You saved me again. Taeyong did not answer. His eyes searched every corner of the warehouse. As long as she was beside him, he could not afford to lose focus. Minutes later, the remaining attackers fled. Police sirens echoed in the distance. Jinwoo approached. Boss? They escaped. Taehyung looked around. Find them. I don't care how long it takes. They don't get a second chance. Understood? Sion hurried to her brother. Oppa! Minju smiled weakly, I guess. I was not mean to have a happy ending. Don't say that. She held his hand tightly. An ambulance is coming. You will be okay. Minju slowly shook his head. No. He looked at Taeyong. I owe you the truth. Taeyong remained silent. The files I stole, I never sold them. I hid them. I hid them. I knew the people behind everything could not be trusted. He struggled to breathe. They wanted to destroy the Kim family. They only used me. Jinwoo frowned. Who are they? Minju whispered a single name. The Black Dragon Syndicate. They are planning something much bigger. Before anyone could ask another question, Minju lost consciousness. The ambulance finally arrived. Doctors quickly took him away. Late that night, the mansion was unusually quiet. Sion stood alone on the balcony. The rain had stopped, but her heart still felt heavy. She heard footsteps behind her. It was Taehyung. For a few moments, neither of them spoke. Finally, Sion broke the silence. You could have let me die today. Taeyong looked at the city lights. I could not. Why? He answered honestly. Because losing you scares me. Sion slowly turned toward him. It was the first time he had admitted something so personal. You hated me. I did. And now? Taeyong smiled sadly. I don't know when it changed. I kept telling myself you were only my revenge. But every time you were in danger, my heart made the choice before my mind could. Sion's eyes filled with tears. You have protected me. You have taken care of my grandmother. You never let anyone hurt me. She took a slow step closer. But you also took away my freedom. Taeyong lowered his head. I know. For that I am sorry. Seo-yeon froze. The proud Mafia King had apologized. It was only one sentence, but she knew how difficult it had been for him to say. The next morning, Jinwoo entered Taehyung's office. Boss, we found the hidden files. Taehyung looked up. They proved the Black Dragon Syndicate has been planning to attack your organization for years. Jinwoo placed another photograph on the desk. This is one more problem. Taehyung picked it up. His expression changed instantly. The photo showed Sion leaving a flower shop earlier that morning. A red circle had been drawn around her face. Below it, it was handwritten message. Next target, the Mafia King's wife. Taeyong's eyes turned ice cold. He crushed the photograph in his hand. They are not coming after my empire anymore. They are coming after her. At that very moment, Sion walked out of the flower shop, carrying fresh flowers for her grandmother. She smiled politely at the shop owner. She had no idea. A black van had quietly stopped across the street. Two masked men stepped out. One of them whispered, "Take her alive." As Sion turned the corner, a hand suddenly covered her mouth. Her flowers fell onto the road. The van door slid open. She disappeared inside. By the time her bodyguards reached the street, the van was already gone. Jinwoo's phone rang. He answered. His face turned pale. He looked at Taeyong. Boss, they have taken madam. For the first time in years, everyone inside the mansion saw genuine fear in Kim Taeyong's eyes. His fists clenched. His voice was quiet, but every word carrying deadly promise. They made the biggest mistake of their lives. I am bringing my wife home. The Kim mansion fell into complete silence. No one dared to speak. Jinwoo stood in front of them. They abandoned the van near the harbor. No fingerprints, no witnesses. They planned everything. Taeyong slowly stood up. His face showed no emotion, but everyone in the room knew. He was furious. They wanted a war. They have one. Meanwhile, meanwhile, Soyeon slowly opened her eyes. Her head ached. She found herself tied to a chair inside an abandoned factory. Several masked men stood nearby. One of them laughed. So this is the famous Mafia King's wife? Another man grabbed her chin. He will destroy his own empire to save you. Sion looked at him fearlessly. If you think Taeyong will surrender, you don't know him. The man laughed. Oh, we know exactly who he is. That's why we took the only person he can't lose. Back at the mansion, the hospital called. Han Minju had survived the surgery. The bullet had missed his heart. When Taeyong arrived, Minju was awake. He looked weak but determined. I know where they are hiding. Taeyong looked at him. You expect me to trust you? No. But if you don't, Soyeon will die. Silence. Finally, Taeyong nodded. Talk. Minju explained everything. The Black Dragon Syndicate has an old shipping warehouse near Incheon Harbor. They used it years ago. If they kidnapped Sion, that's where they will take her. Taeyong looked into his eyes. For the first time, he saw no lies, only regret. I will save her, Minju whispered. Please bring my sister home. An hour later, more than 30 black SUVs surrounded the abandoned warehouse. Taeyong stepped out. His black suit moved with the sea breeze. Jinwoo handed him a gun. Boss, only snipers are ready. Taeyong shook his head. No, I am going in first. It's dangerous. So is leaving her inside? Inside the warehouse, the gang leader smiled as he saw Taeyong entered alone. I wondered how long it would take. Taeyong's eyes searched the room. He found Sion tied to a chair. Her face lit up. Taeyong? He smiled faintly. I am here. The gang leader laughed. Drop your gun. Taeyong did. Now kneel. He did. Sion's eyes filled with tears. No, don't. The gang leader pointed his gun at Taeyong's head. For the great Mafia King, love made you weak. Taeyong never looked away from Sion. No, it made me a human. At the exact moment, bang, a sniper's bullet shattered the lights. The warehouse went dark. Jinwoo team stormed inside. Chaos erupted. Taeyong rushed toward the Soyeon. He untied her hands. Are you hurt? She shook her head. I am okay. Suddenly, the gang leader appeared behind them. He pointed his gun at Sion. Before he could fire, another gunshot echoed. The gang leader fell. Everyone turned. Han Minju stood at the entrance. He was pale from surgery, still holding the smoking gun. I won't let anyone hurt my sister again. The police arrived seconds later. The remaining gang members surrendered. As officers handcuffed them, Minju walked towards Soyeon. I am sorry for everything. I can't erase the past, but I can finally face it. He looked at Taehyung. I am ready to answer for my crimes. Without running, without hiding, Taehyung slowly nodded. Then do it. Han Minju surrendered to the police. For the first time in 3 years, he stopped running from the truth. 3 months later, spring had arrived in Seoul. The cherry blossoms covered the streets with soft pink flowers. Han Minju had confessed everything because he cooperated with the investigation. Because he cooperated with the investigation, returned the stolen files, and helped dismantle the Black Dragon Syndicate, he received a reduced prison sentence instead of spending the rest of his life in prison. Before being taken away, he hugged Sion. I will come back as a better brother. She smiled through her tears. I will be waiting. Life instead the Kim mansion slowly changed. There were fewer guards, more laughter. Jeon had started smiling again. Miss Chui often joked that the mansion finally felt like a home instead of a fortress. One evening, Taeyong asked Soyeon to meet him in the garden. The white roses were in full bloom. She walked toward him. You wanted to see me? He nodded. Then he placed a small key in her hand. She looked confused. What is this? The front gate. She stared at him. I don't understand. Taeyong took a deep breath. When I married you, I stole your freedom. Taeyong looked. Taeyong took a deep breath. When I married you, I stole your freedom. I thought revenge would heal my sister, but all it did was hurt another innocent person. Sion's eyes filled with tears. He continued. So today I am giving you freedom back. If you want to leave, no one will stop you. You can go wherever you want. Silence. A gentle breeze carried cherry blossom petals between them. Taeyong smiled sadly. I love you. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to stay. I only want your choice to be yours. He turned to walk away. One step, two steps, then Sion gently took his hand. He looked back. She smiled. The first smile they reached her eyes since the day they met. You finally gave me a choice. He nodded. Yes, so I am choosing. She stepped closer. I don't choose the man who forced me to marry him. I choose the man who stood in front of bullets for me, the man who protected my grandmother, the man who learned to say I am sorry, and the man who finally set me free. Tears gathered in Taehyung's eyes. She laughed softly. So Kim Taehyung, this time I am staying because I want to. He pulled her into a gentle embrace. No force, no fear, only love. 6 months later, the family gathered in the same wedding hall where everything had begun. Time there were no threats, no revenge, no tears of fear. Jeon placed a bouquet in Seon's hands. Miss Chui smiled proudly. Even Jinwoo wiped away a tear. The officiant smiled. And Seo-yeon, do you choose Kim Taeyong as your husband? Han Seo-yeon, do you choose Kim Taeyong as your husband? She looked into Taeyong's eyes. The cold Mafia King was gone. The man standing before her was simply Taeyong. Her home, her family, her choice, I do. Taeyong smiled, the first real smile anyone in the room had ever seen from him. I do. As everyone applauded, cherry blossom petals drifted through the open doors. Their first wedding had built on revenge. Their second marriage was built on love. For the first time in years, both of them were finally free.